My name is Shane Knowlton. I work for Greenwood Village Public Works, and I enjoy my job because it's nice days like this. You get to be out, use your intelligence, discover problems like we're dealing with back here in a mainline break, and you get to investigate things and work outdoors. You got a good crew, and you learn new and exciting things in the irrigation and public works and recreation division.
My name is Kristen Holt. I enjoy working for the City of Greenwood Village because I love the people. Everyone here is just a pleasure to work with. I couldn't ask for a better crew.
My name is Mark Sheely. I work for the City of Greenwood Village in the Public Works Department in Park Services. One of the reasons I love my job is, number one, I enjoy being outside. I really enjoy what I do as far as just maintaining and mowing the athletic fields and giving our users and customers a wonderful facility to play and have a good time on.
My name is Daryl Eberhardt, and I've worked for the City of Greenwood Village for 23 years. What I like most about my job is I enjoy operating equipment and like being outdoors, and the city has been a great city to work for.
Hello, I'm Mayor Ron Rakowski, and welcome to the Greenwood Village Mayor's Show. In our community, we take pride in our quality roadways, manicured parks, colorful medians, and clean waterways, all the things that make Greenwood Village a very special place. With these attributes, there is a department in the village responsible for making this all happen. Today we will meet the Public Works Department and its people. We will learn about the various programs and techniques that help improve the village's public infrastructure and maintain the quality of life of our community. So come along with me and let's discover all the ways Public Works works for you.
On a normal business day, it's an early arrival for Public Works staff at the Greenwood Village Maintenance Facility. Nearly 86 employees report to this facility every day at sunrise to start their day.
Good morning, Greenwood Village Public Works. This is Dee. How may I help you?
The Public Works Department consists of 5 primary service areas: facility and fleet, environmental, parks and trails maintenance, roads, and traffic. Before village crews head out in the community to perform their essential duties, some employees begin their day by inspecting equipment, while others work to make sure the facilities are clean and tidy.
Our duties are to make sure that all of our mowers are fueled up and that there are no general leaks or cracks or flat tires on our equipment, and to make sure that the vehicles that we use to haul our equipment is running properly.
I'll go grab it first.
The variety of vehicles used by Greenwood Village employees are maintained by a highly trained group of fleet personnel to ensure every piece of equipment is operable so that services can be delivered.
In fleet services, there's 7 of us. It's 4 technicians, 1 parts man, a manager, and an assistant. Every day we do PMs, preventive maintenance on all the vehicles and equipment, and basically what we're doing is trying to do preventative maintenance before the repairs are needed. We're trying to do proactive things in fleet to keep things up before they go down. The goal for the fleet department is to provide a safe, reliable, available fleet for the city.
Nearly 248 pieces of equipment and vehicles are maintained by Fleet Services. With their primary oversight of the city's fleet technicians like Doug encounter some challenges, but at the end of their workday, they know the outcome of their contributions.
We don't want to have to down a piece of equipment that's being used. So Scheduling sometimes can be a challenge. Yeah.
Parks, trails, and open space contribute to the many leisure and recreational opportunities we experience in Greenwood Village. It's all these amenities, like convenient trails, the ball fields, the picnic shelters our families use to celebrate, and the fun playground equipment that creates lots of smiles that makes every visit enjoyable.
The first project for Parks and Trails maintenance is the removal of a 75-year-old tree at Westlands Park.
The primary reason this tree was taken down was it was a two codominant lead. It didn't have one primary central lead. And in the middle of the two codominant leads, it came together and a wound had been created. And in that wound, it was an open face wound. So water, snow got inside the tree and decayed the tree down at the base of the tree, which is the worst place where a wound can form. With the high volume of use of the park, we couldn't risk the tree falling down and possibly striking one of the children here down in this natural area, or having it fall over here on the actual tree house that we constructed. We've been doing a hazardous tree assessment on this tree yearly since the park was constructed.
The tree at Westlands Park is one of thousands of trees Todd and his co-workers maintain in Greenwood Village. There is a variety of work involved to take care of trees in the city's parks and open space areas.
Tree work in the city is a year-round job. There's a variety of different types of work that goes into maintaining the trees, not only in the parks, but on our streets, our right-of-ways. We've got to not only maintaining an open right-of-way, but also site clearance, and we do island clearances. We also replace trees, general different landscaping, and even some irrigation too.
Like trees, flowers play an important role in the beautification of the community. After all, it's the selection of the types of flowers chosen by Public Works that makes all the difference.
The location actually determines what type of flowers. In a streetscape location, a flower will be chosen that can handle the abuse from the surrounding areas, and in a park location, the flowers are chosen on what type of vegetation is in that park location. The way a contractor is chosen to plant the flowers is it's determined by a bidding process that we go through. The contractor that's hired to plant the flowers in the flower beds throughout the village, they're a full-service contractor, which means that they'll prepare the beds, they'll make sure the irrigation is working properly, they'll plant the flowers, they'll maintain the flower beds weed-free, and then at the end of the season, when their contract ends, they'll actually remove the flowers, and then we'll start fresh again next year.
With a vast selection of flowers planted in the city's streetscapes, there is one flower that has the most popularity with Public Works staff and helps contribute to the overall goals for the city's flower program.
One of the more popular flowers that we use in the village are petunias. For a number of reasons. You can get a variety of color. They're practically bulletproof in the respect of any type of environmental condition that can affect them. The water needed for them is minimal. If for whatever reason there is a time where they don't get water, they're pretty hardy, very hardy, and they're reasonably inexpensive. We use annuals and perennials in flower beds for a number of reasons. The primary reason is that in the wintertime, when the annuals are removed or they've expired, then we'll have some type of plant material in those flower beds. The flower beds that are planted in the village consist of approximately 10,500 square feet. On an average year, we'll plant approximately 25,000 square feet, but due to the economic times, we've had to reduce that. There's approximately 36 locations that get the flowers, and most of those locations you'll see when you're enjoying our parks are in park locations. The importance of flowers in the village are numerous. One of them obviously is the fact that they beautify the locations that they're planted. People appreciate the colors, the way they look. It also attracts businesses to the village. When you drive through a location and you see a bunch of flower beds, there's always the potential of people wanting to live in the village or actually have a business in the village. So I think there's a myriad of reasons why flowers add to the quality of life.
Greenwood Village has an abundance of parks, trails, and open space with beautiful landscaping. But the beauty of the landscaping is not possible without the leadership of the irrigation team, whose responsibility is focused around the city's use of water in the most efficient manner.
Every day after our morning meeting, they typically use the computer system to evaluate what's happened out in the field. Any problems that may have occurred, anything they may need to be aware of, then we'll dispatch people according to what we find there so that they can route accordingly and go to different sites based on what the computer system has shown us.
It's a challenging job to make sure all the village's landscaping is watered properly. A system known as the Maxicom helps the irrigation team manage sprinklers and drip systems out in the field.
This system controls systems from going on and off mostly by way of manual input from the irrigation technician. They do their user inputs, and then we also have a network of weather stations. We have 2 localized weather stations, one on the west side of town, one on the east side of town. It waters to evapotranspiration rate, and that will automatically adjust up or down each individual zone, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on the weather for that particular day. So when you're using anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million gallons of water per day, per cycle, it is a significant water savings in that if it's a higher humidity day, and everything maybe needs to be adjusted down 1 minute, there's quite a bit of cost savings, as well as keeping the parks in much better shape.
One of the greatest things that I enjoy about Maxicom is it really kind of tells me if I have certain problems in the field, and then it can help me be more reactive and also proactive so that I can fix those problems and anticipate them before they really become an issue.
Maintenance worker Shane Knowlton is another member of the irrigation team. His job is not just to make sure the streetscapes are watered, but he also has the important task of fixing broken irrigation lines from time to time.
We're here at Village Greens Park, and we're getting ready to dig up a main line that was about 27 years old that we discovered had a leak recently. We went out and did some investigation by probing, turning on and off different parts of the main line to see where we could isolate this leak. We found it to be over in this area right here, which we're digging up right now. On a daily basis, we get together as a crew at the maintenance office, and we decide, okay, what are the issues of the day that we might have outstanding from the day before? What projects do we have ongoing? What parks or that may need specific attention? And we designate different jobs to different people, and we scout the area. You know, we look for anything that might be different on the park that wasn't supposed to be there, trash or hazards or anything like that on the park. On a daily basis, we'll do that. You know, we'll inspect the flower beds that when we enter the park, or different beds around that we may know may be dry or we want to showcase. We make sure that they're getting plenty of water, that they're not dying or being overwatered. We do a deep inspection with popping up each zone throughout the park or the streetscape or the islands in the street to make sure that all those zones are operating correctly. We check out our backflow preventers. We take meter readings to make sure, okay, what we're getting on our Maxicom controller at the control is telling us, okay, we're using this much water. Well, what does the actual Denver water meter say on the meter itself? So we'll take all those factors and on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, to build a history of what we would do at a typical park, a streetscape, and that's kind of our daily and weekly jobs. In the off season, we'll be beginning to winterize, and that's typically shutting down the parks. Hopefully we'll go into a nice transition period where we can start cutting back on the amount of water uses like we've had with these cooler days, so we don't have to use as much, and we can do projects like this so we can still pressurize the system and test for things that we've done to make sure that they're good and intact before we close down for the winter. And then after that, we'll begin to go through each of the park streetscapes and depressurize all the water, which means drain that water out.
The men and women of Public Works are responsible for maintaining 182 acres of developed parks, 254 acres of open space, 53 acres of streetscape and medians, and 42 miles of trails. Their work in turf, athletic fields, and trail maintenance is also critical to the overall recreation enjoyment of park and trail users.
We start our day at 6:30 in the morning. We come in, our crew meets, with our supervisor. We voice any concerns or just any updates we have within our, parks or anything going on. We break, fuel our equipment, and then we head out to whatever parks are scheduled to be mowed that day. We'll go out, mow our areas. We line trim, around tree rings, areas that the mowers can't get to very cleanly. Pull weeds. Then once we're done at a park, we'll blow our grass clippings off of the trails and just kind of generally tidy the place up. Our sole purpose is not just mowing the fields, but we also do a lot of the other things. We aerate, we top dress, we overseed. We want an aesthetically pleasing, facility, and it's also, we want it accessible to our users. What we do to make our park so beautiful is really a lot of teamwork with our different crews among park services. Our irrigation crew and forestry crew, we work very closely together and communicate, different needs, within the parks. Council allows us, the resources and the means, for the equipment that we have, the resources that we're able to put into the parks to make them look the way they do.
With the many parks in Greenwood Village, there are several athletic fields that host hundreds of games throughout the year. This is why Public Works puts player safety first when it comes to maintenance.
One of the purposes of our crew, number one, is to provide a safe playing surface because we have a lot of activity that goes on. This is our largest park here that we maintain. We have a lot of activity from the high school, youth sports. There's football, soccer, baseball, softball. So there's a lot of activity that goes on here up at the park. So our first priority is to provide those users with a safe surface. And then in addition to that, we have the baseball and softball fields that we also maintain. And those require different equipment, to maintain the dirt or skinned infield surface. So with those, we have a drag mat that, we go and we level out and smooth out the surface. And also that requires, compacting and wetting, the high impact areas, which are around home plate and the pitcher's mounds, some around the bases. So that requires, putting in clay, tamping it, leveling it out. So there's a lot of different stuff that goes on with maintaining, high quality, infields. I know we have a group of, dedicated employees, that strive for, excellence and are very proud of the work that they do. So I know a lot of it's just high quality employees that are dedicated to, giving a quality product.
Whether you drive a car, ride a bicycle, or walk in Greenwood Village, we want your experience to be a smooth one. Our quality roadways and sidewalks speak to our reputation of having one of the best roadway networks in the region. Public Works accomplishes this through a number of strategies with their focus on keeping our streets safe and visually appealing.
Road and traffic services are responsible for maintenance of the village's roadway network. John Wanigman is a Public Works manager who oversees the village's pavement management program. His work involves deciding which streets in Greenwood Village will get new pavement with the right method at the right time.
The goals of the pavement management program is to maintain a high-quality roadway network through Greenwood Village through the use of a variety of maintenance strategies. And that can be from a pavement preservation to a total rehabilitation. What we're doing out here in this subdivision is a pavement preservation process, and that is done on streets that are in relatively good condition, and you're trying to extend the life of that pavement before more serious degradation occurs. Rehabilitation is a more substantive kind of structural reconstruction of a pavement, and that's more towards the end of the life of the pavement. Typically, pavements last between 30 to 40 years is their life cycle. So when you're towards the end of that is when you get into the more substantive kind of reconstruction process, where you take more of the material out, do more repairs because there's structural deficiencies, and then do thicker rehabilitation overlays or treatments. The first thing for any pavement management program is to have an inventory of your network, of all the streets in the city. We do that by going out, looking at all the streets, putting ratings to them, quantifying the distresses, and determining what roads should be treated at what time and with what treatment. The reason that we do these preservation strategies on streets that seem to be in much better condition is to seal up the problems, the minor distresses that are caused from oxidation and weathering before they can degrade into more serious, costly repairs. So if we spend less money now on the street, we can save more money later. One of the main causes that we have on lower volume residential streets, and even some of our non-residential streets that aren't highway type loading, is what's called environmental distresses. And that manifests itself with transverse cracks, which are basically perpendicular to the street every 75 feet, every 50 feet, something like that. Those are our number one distress, and those are ones that we have to address early so that they don't degrade into more structural problems. On busier roads, it can lead to more structural loading degradation, which is from a lot of trucks and a lot of traffic. And in those instances, there's more substantive repairs that need to be done before the resurfacing, a lot more patching and repairs of that nature. We do things a little different than other communities. We've developed a number of strategies to address this number one distress of ours, transverse cracks. That can be from a minor crack seal, where you just put in material to seal that crack and you don't rehabilitate it at all the way to more structural removal in that crack area and reinforcing that crack. We also have found through our research that in residential neighborhoods that have frequent transverse cracks, which is often the case because there's not a lot of structural loading in the residential neighborhoods, our method of addressing that situation is we'll go in and determine the thickness of the existing asphalt in that residential neighborhood and remove enough sections such that what we put back on top will control the bottom and not let those cracks reflect through. And that has been very successful and cost effective for the village.
With any roadway pavement project, there are several tasks that need to be performed before the road can be repaved. On Elm Street in the Preserve, the project is classified as a pavement rehabilitation project because the age and condition of the existing pavement requires more extensive repairs. Staff is preparing to patch the street and remove damaged concrete of the curb, gutter, and sidewalks before the street can be repaved.
Patching is important to fix all the deficiencies in the roadway so that moisture will not penetrate down through that prior to the paving process. If we don't address those deficiencies before we pave, those deficiencies could then reflect up through the new asphalt surface, and then we are back with a deficiency on that roadway again. So we want to eliminate those so that we're not back in the following year to take care of those again. We patch every time we determine a roadway is going to be resurfaced, and that resurfacing could be any type of material. Asphalt paving, slurry seal, chip seal, any of those processes, rejuvenators, all of those things. We'll go in and patch everything prior to that process happening.
The concrete repair project is part of the pavement management program, where it replaces concrete on streets ahead of the pavement rehabilitation and preservation projects. In addition to that, the concrete repair project also replaces concrete in village parks and trails, and then we also respond to any emergency work that arises throughout the year. The concrete repair project is also very unique in that we have a program where residents can call in and report damaged concrete. So residents, business owners, or village staff can call Public Works, report damaged concrete, and a village staff member will come out and inspect that concrete and determine if it warrants replacement. So replacement of the concrete is based on the pavement strategy selected for that street, whether it's rehabilitation or preservation. And we also have a rating system where we come out and take a look at the concrete, and we rate it based on anything from a minor cosmetic issue to anything with severe concrete damage. So some of the things that we look for when we're rating the concrete is we look at fractures, vertical and horizontal displacement, any spalling, drainage issues, or any sections that are partially or completely missing. The concrete repair project includes replacement of sidewalks, curb and gutters, aprons, crosspans, and any paved sections of roadway that you see in the village. So in our first phase of the contract or the project, what we do is we coordinate our work with the contractor and any other contractors that are working in the village. We want to make sure that we're not going to impact any special events, and we also notify businesses and residents and any special districts, utility agencies, or emergency services to let them know about any upcoming lane closures or access restrictions. So at times, irrigation and landscaping may be impacted as part of the concrete work, and in the contract, the contractor is required to restore those systems before they leave the project site. So, for example, irrigation systems have to be restored within 24 to 48 hours of discovery of that system being impacted. And the contractor is also responsible for restoring landscaping within 2 weeks of completion of work, weather permitting. So we're also concerned with safety as it relates to both the traveling public and also with the workers that are working in the work zone. So some of the things that we try to do is inform the residents and the general public of any lane closures and let them be aware that if they could just take in consideration slowing down when driving through the work zones, that's crucial to both the worker safety and the traveling public. There's always a general perception that the village is tearing up streets only to have to come back and tear up another street year after year. And some of the things that we do with the concrete replacement project is we'll replace concrete on streets a year in advance, so that way we can be ahead of the game with our pavement management projects.
You look at trying to find the worst piece of concrete by either the top of it falling apart or if it has cracks in it, so that we can remove that, so that when we replace it, it'll help protect the asphalt so that it'll end up not destroying the infrastructure underneath the concrete or underneath the asphalt. Concrete is removed by the machine, either by the jackhammer like you see behind me, or by an air hammer, depending on the area where we're at, if it's sensitive to having too much pressure put to it or not. So when we remove the concrete, then we look at the sub base to make sure we don't need to make any correction to the sub base in case it's too wet or too dry, so that when we put the new concrete back in place, it won't settle or raise up and cause it to break again if that was the case. When we go to select the concrete, we look at what the asphalt is going to be for the year, and then they tell us what streets they want us to do, and then we'll go through with our rating system of 1 through 4 and determine which ones we're doing. If it's a full mill with a milling across the street, we'll do higher quantities of concrete so that there's no cracks or deficiencies or anything in the concrete. If it's just a treatment, we'll usually just do the most severe concrete that's out there. That way it still leaves the street to look good and it'll make everything in the end better. So as you can see here on this concrete right here, it has the surface of falling apart, so this would be considered a bad, faulty concrete. And so we're going to replace it so it'll not have any issues further down the road of being a trip hazard or anything that would cause someone to get hurt. So we'll take care of issues like this so that we won't have any problems.
Every task for each road project is managed carefully by Public Works to ensure the project meets village standards. But it's not until the final stage that a road project is truly tested.
This project that we're working on here would be classified as a pavement rehabilitation. And the work is a little more extensive based on the condition of these existing streets. What we have been doing ahead of this is the preparation of what this final product is, and this is the top surface coat. In this case, it's an 1.5 inch hot mix overlay, and it's capping everything that we've done underneath. And what really
is important in a rehabilitation of a pavement like this is what you do ahead of this. A lot of people look to see the final surface being put on, and really there's a lot of work, more important work, that gets done ahead of that. This is the final product, makes it look nice, seals it off, and finishes the look.
Even after a roadway or trail is completed, asphalt pavement needs constant attention and inspection. There is a special crew at Public Works that is responsible to find potholes and cracks on the roads and trails before motorists and pedestrians do.
The strategy for potholes is to go out and find them before other people do, and then get them fixed. So we go out and we find them, and we'll classify them, 1 through 3, 1 being low, 3 being it needs to be fixed right now. And then we have a database that we work off of, and we go out and proactively repair them, from worst to best. So what you're going to see for repair is we're going to usually take this equipment that you see here, we're going to roll up, we're going to jackhammer it out, remove it and throw it away. We're going to clean it out, we're going to spray what's called tack oil, which is asphalt cement, to glue the asphalt in. Then we're going to bring this truck in, put the hot mix down, rake it, and then we're going to compact it, and then it'll be good to go, and then we'll move to the next one.
In Greenwood Village, streets, sidewalks, and medians are located in the public right-of-way. The village may own the public right-of-way, but other users are granted access to use it.
Our overall goals for the city's right-of-way program are to minimize the disruption to the traveling public, maximize the available use of the right-of-way, protect the existing facilities, and then protect the taxpayers' investment in the infrastructure that they already have.
As a result of the significant demand for the use of the public right-of-way, Public Works staff has an effective right-of-way policy that establishes standards for right-of-way work in Greenwood Village.
When a utility company comes to the city to receive a right-of-way permit, what they have to do is they'll get with our admin staff and they'll fill out a permit application form. As a part of that permit application form, they need to provide us a plan showing what they're actually going to be doing, identifying the right-of-way, the traffic control for the plan. We need to get that into the system. Once it's into the system, we'll review it, we'll approve it, and then we'll issue that permit to that utility company for them to work on their infrastructure. When I'm reviewing a permit application, I'm looking at the traffic control, I'm looking at the timing, I'm looking at the schedule, if it's going to be fall, winter, summer, when they're going to be out there, the size of it. We have small projects, large projects. The timing of those projects is critical, and when we're reviewing that, that's one of the things that we're looking at. We don't want to have our construction crews in the street when big events are happening. When we're involved in inspecting the projects for the City of Greenwood Village, some of the things that we're checking out are the traffic control setups, and when they're excavating some of the backfill, we're concerned about our infrastructure. When they're placing concrete, when they're placing asphalt, when they're installing cabinets, when they're installing things, we want to be looking at that because we want those things to last. We don't want those things to fail. Some of the things that set us apart from other communities are some of the things that we do with the asphalt road. We do a nice square patch. We keep it nice and smooth. We put in water valves and we try to keep those out of the wheel path, manholes out of the wheel path. We screen cabinets. We try to the big electric green cabinets, we're working on screening those so people don't have to see them. We do a lot of unique things in Greenwood Village that sets us apart from other communities.
A variety of maintenance activities are conducted every day by Public Works staff to keep the roadways in a high-quality condition. During the winter season, almost every staff member of Public Works participates in snow removal operations. Nearly 220 lane miles of roads and 42 miles of trails are plowed and kept safe and accessible for the traveling public.
The outcome is try to keep the roads safe for the citizens of Greenwood and commuters who work here able to safely get from point A to point B.
The weather in Colorado is sometimes unpredictable, but Public Works personnel are always prepared for every storm, even those that catch everyone by surprise.
We have 3 shifts. The first shift is day shift. second shift is swing shift, and the last shift is the graveyard shift, the night shift. And they're about 8 hours apart, and everybody helps out. First priority is the main roads through Greenwood Village that the commuters use and the residents use to get to their destination. The second priority is the actual roads in between all of the residential areas. You just go down the road and kind of clear out the cul-de-sacs and all the side streets.
The approach to how roads are treated in Greenwood Village before, during, and after a snowstorm is the result of some special treatment that helps drivers get to where they need to go.
And we do that by laying down ice slicer, plow the roads. We do a very good job. A lot of people say we have the best roads around Denver.
Snow removal operations are a busy time for Public Works, as they do not stop with operations until the last road, sidewalk, and trail is cleared.
Some of the biggest challenges we face as snowplow operators, other than the severe driving conditions, are the public themselves. They like to not be behind our trucks. They don't like to be next to our trucks, and they'll pretty much just do what they can to get in and around us. One of the biggest challenges, they don't realize these trucks weigh so much, and it takes a lot to get them moving, and it takes a lot to get them to stop. Anytime somebody gets between two of our big trucks plowing a road, it's a huge safety concern for the drivers and for the driver of the other vehicle. And it just got to be on our toes and try not to let those people sneak in between us. It's not because we don't want you there, it's just it's safer for you not to be there. The other challenges obviously are stalled vehicles, emergency vehicles, and sometimes wildlife if you're on the night shift. So put it all together, it's all around pretty dangerous, and got to be on your toes and alert at all times.
Potholes may not be visible in Greenwood Village, but even with the quality roadways, the impacts of traffic are still significant. Traffic signals, stop signs, and traffic counts are all necessary tools for Public Works to manage traffic in the village. We are particularly proud of our village traffic management program that helps you get where you need to go.
The issue of traffic congestion and related traffic accidents and injuries is an ongoing issue that Public Works continually addresses with other departments. In addition to traffic enforcement and education, Public Works' use of an advanced, intelligent transportation system is paying off and solving daily traffic challenges.
I'm the Public Works Manager at Traffic, and so we basically monitor traffic throughout the village to ensure that there's safe and efficient movement of the traffic as it's going through the village. There's lots of ways we do that. One of our biggest is at our signalized intersections. We actually have, that's where the majority of our congestion is. The majority of the cars travel through there. So Bellevue, Orchard, Arapahoe Road, DTC Boulevard, Yosemite, and Quebec. At those, we can actually monitor the traffic signals from the office here and ensure that they're running the correct timing plans and that cars are being detected as they pull up and that they're being serviced and getting through the intersection. We determine traffic signal timing based on the volume levels as a basic approach. We say, what are the volumes there on each approach? How many cars are turning left? How many cars are going through? How many cars are going northbound versus southbound? And if you think of it as a piece of pie, you've got so much time, and we just slice out individual slices for each movement.
Jeremy, we got a call on the Orchard Willow traffic signal. Can you bring that one up?
So another benefit of this traffic signal system is that we receive notifications as soon as there's a problem with the signal system. So if an intersection goes into flash, we will receive an email, and we have that set up to the traffic program, which is a staff of 4, to receive an email in case someone's out. Someone else can get that email and then make the proper calls or troubleshoot the system. Another thing we do is we set it up so that if detectors go bad, if there's a PED button that's been stuck on for an hour, that'll give us an alert so that we can get out there and fix that pedestrian button as well. And so all of that's automated by the signal system, and then it just comes to us instantaneously as soon as a problem's reported, and then we can begin our troubleshooting that much quicker. Every day is different. There is no typical day in traffic. Some days we might have complaints on signal timing. We may have working with the police department to reduce accidents at certain intersections. We may be looking at striping the roadways. We may be looking at changing out signs to make them more visible. We can work with other departments to make our roads safer, is working with the police department to reduce the number of accidents that occur at intersections. Police obviously monitor those accidents monthly, and they work with us. Then we'll have quarterly meetings and we'll sit down and discuss where we feel the high accident locations are, and then by applying some engineering judgment to what can be done, to what type of countermeasures can be done to reduce those accidents, we formulate a plan and then we go and implement that plan. So a recent example of that is at the Quebec and Orchard intersection, the police department brought up the concern that there was a high number of westbound left turning vehicles that are getting into accidents with eastbound through vehicles. And what the accident numbers of accidents wasn't certainly high, but the number of injury accidents was high. And so there was a high injury accident. And so one of the solutions we brought up was to make the westbound left turn protected only during the day. That's been in place now for a couple months, and again, following up with the police department, it's appeared to reduce the number of injury accidents at that intersection.
With 46 traffic signals and nearly 45,000 vehicles traveling in the village every day, managing traffic can present challenges for Jeremy and his staff to ensure all motorists are happy.
Well, one of the biggest challenges is, of course, everybody feels that they should always have a green light whenever they pull up, but unfortunately there's other users on the roadway as well, and so we have to proportion that time to the appropriate volume levels for each approach. And so that can be challenging, is making sure we're getting that right, and of course over time traffic volumes will change, and so we constantly update our timing plans to reflect the current volume levels.
Street signs also play a vital role for Public Works to manage traffic in Greenwood Village. Whether it's making and installing a new sign or repairing a damaged one, the sign crew knows how important signs are to driver and pedestrian safety.
The number one goal of the sign crew is to provide safety for the motoring public in Greenwood Village. We do that by ensuring that our signs are highly visible, both by replacing them when they get faded, graffitied, anything broken if they get run over especially during snowstorms and that sort of thing. So we inspect the signs on a very regular basis. Not only our crew, which consists of 4 people, but all of the employees of Greenwood Village. They call me if they see a sign down, and we repair it as soon as possible. The types of sign issues that we deal with within Greenwood Village are, number one is probably vandalism, and then we deal with accidents, when cars run over the signs. We deal with visibility issues with tree limbs, since we do try to have Greenwood Village be a very pretty city. The tree limbs on occasion can block the signs. We deal with natural breakdown of the material on the sign, so the reflectivity will fade generally over a course of about 7 years. So if a sign is out there longer than that, we have to replace it. The sign crew is responsible for approximately 15,000 signs, and all of the signs in the village's right-of-way are our responsibility. So that varies everywhere from stop signs, speed limit signs, street name signs, to no parking signs, and everything along those lines. Last month alone, we replaced 47 stop signs in, I think, 2 neighborhoods. The process of installing a new sign within the city of Greenwood Village is the sign gets requested, whether it be by a resident or employee, and it goes through our engineering, and they do a study and figure out whether or not it's warranted. We go out, look at the location, make sure it's not going to be obstructed by trees, or it's not going to interfere with other signs that are as important as the sign we're going to install. Then once we get the official request, then we'll mark our location with a stake, call for our locate to make sure we're not going to disrupt any fiber or electrical or gas lines. And then we just install the sign post into the base, and then the sign itself gets installed on the sign. Then once we get it installed, we usually drive by and make sure that the visibility is as good as we thought it was, and that the sign is as effective as it needs to be.
All of the everyday activities and tasks performed by the Public Works Department focus on protecting the environment at all times. Important tasks like street sweeping, regulating the disposal of trash and hazardous waste, and monitoring our waterways will help preserve our community for future generations.
One of the reasons why people live in Greenwood Village is because of the many environmental benefits of a clean city. Programs for trash and single-stream recycling and the Household Hazardous Waste Program all contribute to improving the environment. Large item pickup is also provided to every single family home in the village, and all it takes is a phone call to Public Works.
Okay, do you have some items in particular you'd like us to pick up, or would you just like to know in general what our policy is?
Process for large item pickups, the residents call in and tell us what they have to pick up, and we schedule them and try to get it picked up within a 24-hour period. Benefits of the large item pickup is to give the resident the benefit of getting all their trash and large items put out on the curbside, so we could pick it up as soon as possible to keep the streets clean and prevent dirt from going in the storm inlets.
You may have noticed a street sweeper or two coming through your neighborhood during a given week. Sweeping operations are done in both residential and commercial areas to clean more than just the roadways.
The outcome goals for street sweeping are to make the environment in the neighborhoods pretty and safe, clean. Street sweeping helps with the water quality and air quality, as well as the appearance, of the neighborhoods and the community. The debris we dump back at the shop, some of it we can dump into the dump trucks directly on the site. All the city's sweepers will be able to dump onto a dump truck. We can transport it back to the shop, and we have a material storage bay there, and then we load it out into end dumps and transport it to the landfill. Some of the challenges with the street sweeping is tree branches that hang over, other obstructions that are in the roadway over the right-of-way. Vehicles need a good 14 feet of height clearance straight up from the back of curb in order to get under the trees. A lot of people don't understand why the sweepers go around piles of leaves and stuff. It's the fact that it's not capable of getting in there without doing damage to the trees or the machine itself. Some of the other ones are parked cars or contractors blowing out material into the roadway after we've swept, and we have to go back around again or leave it for the next time. Other than that, traffic, we try to stay off the main streets until rush hour's over, so we'll go into the residentials first thing and then pop back out once traffic's died down to get the main streets in the areas we're sweeping that day.
Since the invention of the first street sweeper in 1849, modern street sweepers like the village uses today have evolved and are equipped to remove debris and pick up particles before they become airborne to reduce the dust we breathe. Particles as small as 10 micrometers or less, also known as PM10, is a leading cause of air pollution.
This is an Elgin Pelican. It's the city's mechanical street sweeper. The front end of the machine has a hopper, a 5-yard hopper. The material's picked up from the gutter brooms down here. The water spray system keeps the dust and pollution down, allowing the leaves and debris to be swept under the machine, where the rear broom moves the material to a conveyor belt that goes up into the hopper. It steers from the rear of the machine. You can operate it from either side. The sweepers make extremely sharp turns. They generally will signal when they're going to make a turn. Stay back 50 feet, move slowly, don't pass them on the left in the inappropriate times. It's pretty hard on some of the streets. We have islands like Bellevue or so where it's very tight, and we'll get people trying to pass and there's an island coming up, and it's difficult for the sweeper operator to see you. Generally we'll sweep from the right side of the machine, sweeping the outside of the roadway, and if you pass on the left, it's very hard for the sweeper operators to see you.
Water quality plays a vital role in contributing to the quality of life in Greenwood Village. In addition to street sweeping, Public Works exercises vigilant efforts to monitor water quality in streams, ponds, and waterways in the community.
I manage the environmental service area for Public Works,
And the great thing about my job is that I help maintain the open spaces and the water features throughout the village, including our ponds, our streams, and our wetland areas that are many times the center feature for our open spaces.
There are a number of public works duties performed for ponds, streams, and wetland areas that help promote and manage water quality.
Wetlands area, we do things such as make sure that the outlet structure is clean and functioning properly so that storm after storm, the water continues to be filtered and pollutants are taken out of the waters and cleaner water goes downstream. We also look after the vegetation in areas such as this, and we monitor noxious weeds and treat noxious weeds and make sure that the vegetation is healthy, and we make sure that the ponds aren't full, and if they are, we clean out the ponds so that the next storm it functions correctly. Many times ponds are the center of our open space, such as here at Tommy Davis Park, where we have Goldsmith Gulch running through the park, and we have a beautiful new pond. And what we do to keep the pond looking wonderful is we treat undesirable vegetation, such as algae. We also maintain the aerators, which are the mechanical devices that pump oxygen into the pond. This not only keeps the pond healthy, but also the aquatic life. One of the critical elements to maintaining an urban stream is to ensuring that it's stable and not eroding. And one of the techniques that we incorporate is boulder edging, which stops the erosion and keeps it from threatening nearby improvements such as trails or fences. Another technique we utilize to stabilize streams so they're not eroding is to actually realign the channel. And we just finished doing this at Little Dry Creek. We realigned approximately 700 linear feet, and what we did is there was 12-foot vertical drops, and we realigned the channel so that we could lay back the banks and revegetate them and make them stable again.
With the combined efforts of public works staff and cooperation by citizens, water quality in the village will continue to improve.
Public Works does many efforts to improve water quality in the village. This includes things such as good housekeeping at our facilities, how we take care of the de-icers that we use on the streets during storms, and these water features that I just explained that helps settle out some of these pollutants. And collectively, all of these efforts, including the efforts by our residents, being conscious of what they put on the ground when water falls and cleans the ground and goes into these water features, collectively helps us have better water quality for everyone to enjoy in the village.
I hope you've enjoyed our time with the Public Works Department and learned more about their operations. I encourage you to thank our Public Works personnel whenever and wherever you see them, as I do, for their stellar accomplishments. I'm Mayor Ron Rakowski. That's a wrap. We'll see you next time on GVTV Channel 8.